All right, we've got Congressman Matt Van Epps on the line. We're going to get to him in just moments. Hit me up on video there if you've got the opportunity right before we get to the congressman. Hopefully he'll be able to hear this as well. This is an older woman by the name of Maria Haddon, who is a Chicago older woman who represents Loyola University. And this was her initial reaction to the tragic death, the murder of Sheridan Gorman, 18, gunned it down while taking a walk with friends at about 1:30 in the morning along the lakefront of Chicago near Loyola. This is what the older woman said.
Well, from what I've been told so far, right, from what police know, from speaking to the students who were with her, it seems she might have, that as they were just out, people go out to the beach all the time, right? And they go out on the pier, they walk around. So the kids were out doing normal things people do in the neighborhood. And it sounds like this might have been a wrong place, wrong time, running into a person who had a gun. They might have startled this person at the end of the pier unintentionally.
What?
But that's all we know. So it from what I've been told, what police investigate.
That's gross. So that's the initial reaction of the leftist Maria Haddon, who seems to have been blaming the victim. Oh, she startled this gunman unintentionally, and things happen. It's just gross. Congressman Matt Van Epps joins us to talk about what this means nationally, what it means locally. There's a local connection. Obviously, Sheridan's sister going to school here at Vanderbilt University. Congressman, good afternoon. Welcome into the show. How are you, sir?
Hey, I'm doing well. Thanks so much for having me on. I mean, just that last radio clip just makes me so angry and so upset. It shows how disconnected that leftist is. I mean, this is a young lady who has her entire life in front of her and is out with friends like we all do. Doesn't matter what time of day, doesn't matter where it's at. And as a father, as a law-abiding citizen, as someone who supports law enforcement, this just makes me absolutely sick, and I'm tired of it. And that rhetoric has no place in our country. And I'm first and foremost, my heart goes out to Sheridan's family. I know Madeline goes to Vanderbilt. Pamela Furr thankfully put this on my radar last night. I appreciate her doing that. And I know she is working with Madeline. Mm-hmm. And it just is, it's sickening. And, the thing we need to do right now is we need to fund DHS.
Yes.
And so I want to talk about that, but my heart goes out to Sheridan's family, and I'm, it.
Well, after, Congressman, you and I both know what a symbol Laken Riley became in the effort to get the criminal illegal aliens out of this country, and how just absent the Democrats were in that discussion, even in the face of such an egregious example in Georgia. And we all hoped that this would be the last example. These are just examples that rise to the top. This happens all over the country all the time. And I am saddened to tell you that we need to utilize this case to force the mainstream media to face this issue and to be truthful with the American people about the dangers that we face at the hands of illegal aliens who ought not to be in this country.
Matt, you're right. I mean, this tragic incident, it's a prime example why the Biden administration's decision to open our borders and allow criminals into our communities was so destructive. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's some estimates, we've talked about this before, but could be 15 million people that are in our country. I mean, the estimates vary widely. That's over 2 times the population of Tennessee. And we know that there are known and suspected terrorists who were released into the country, in addition to these criminal illegals who have no business being here. And I'm grateful for President Trump and the work he's done to secure the border, to make our city safer. I was in Memphis yesterday and would love to talk about that a little bit, about the making Memphis safe again, the Memphis Safe Task Force. But you're absolutely right. We've got to fund, the obstructionist Democrats have got to stop this nonsense and fund DHS. This is now, I think, the 3rd longest government shutdown in U.S. history. The that jeopardizes our national security at a time of heightened threats to our homeland, not to mention these criminals who are out here who are committing these atrocities against these just wonderful people, this young lady who had her entire life in front of her.
What can we do? I mean, obviously your constituents, Matt, the people of the state of Tennessee, they speak loudly about where they are on this issue. I feel like the red states speak loudly. We can't even get even in the face of airports being clogged. Thankfully, BNA is not seeing the issues that other airports around the country are seeing. But even in the face of that, we can't get the government partially back open because the Democrats are fighting against funding Immigration and Customs Enforcement because they're enforcing the law that, these are not laws that Donald Trump signed an executive order. These are laws that have been in place for decades. And Donald Trump's administration is simply now enforcing those laws that were passed by Congress. And it's amazingly frustrating when I talk to the people of the state of Tennessee that we can't move forward on this issue. It's got to be frustrating to you too, Congressman.
It is. We have got these obstructionist Democrats have got to fund DHS. We've got to support President Trump's efforts here. He's taken a whole of government strategy to surge resources to the border, to reinforce our border barrier system and catch and release and mass parole policies, disrupt cartel operations, and then ultimately ensure law enforcement can accomplish their mission. I mean, this president stands behind law enforcement, stands behind the military, and a great example of that is Memphis. And this is a framework example of what needs to happen across the country. The Memphis Safe Task Force it's 22 federal agencies, state and local police, 1,500 members of the National Guard. This was modeled off of the work that happened last summer in D.C. And the statistics are incredible. I was with the president yesterday in Memphis with the Tennessee delegation, with Pam Bondi and Secretary Hegseth and a whole bunch of Governor Lee, a whole bunch of people to showcase what's happened with this task force. 27% decrease in crime, 26% decrease in murders, 48% decrease in carjackings. When you take this whole of government strategy, when the president means business, when he says, this is what I'm going to do, he does it. And we've had great leadership in Tennessee and with state and local officials that have gotten this done that should be the example for the rest of the country and how we can aggressively reduce crime.
I wonder, and you're so right, Congressman. Congressman Matt Van Epps is with us of the 7th Congressional District. You're so correct. At the same time, they have the media, and they, meaning the left, that don't want to see these stories on the front pages. They have the media on their side. And I guess the only way to cut through this is to keep pushing, keep advancing, keep telling the stories that the American people need to hear. I mean, obviously, you're doing what you can as a congressman. We try to do what we can down here in Nashville. But, I mean, it's frustrating that more people don't see the story of Sheridan Gorman up front and center, and hopefully they will over the next several days. I'm saddened that we have to talk about it in this way. But, Renee Good gets in the way of legal immigration and customs enforcement, legal operations. She surges her automobile forward using it as a deadly weapon, sadly gets shot. Nobody wanted her to get shot, but that's the lead story for 2 weeks. This story is being buried right now. And I just, occasionally I just get very frustrated by that,
Yeah, you're right, Matt. You're right. And thanks to you and what you're doing for voicing this. Thanks to Pamela for putting it on our radar. I told my team last night that we're gonna build in this story into our committee hearing process is just as soon as we can with the next Homeland Security Committee hearing where we can tell this story. I mean, I think that's one small way we can do that. To your point, is tell the story, ask questions about this to the witnesses that come in to drive answers. So we intend to do that. Another thing we're doing this week, I just co-sponsored. This is gonna be up this week, but on the floor this week, co-sponsored a resolution expressing support for the Department of Homeland Security that Representative Ryan McKenzie did. It's a resolution that highlights the agency's funding lapse, the attacks that have occurred during the shutdown, the impact that an extended shutdown has had on DHS agencies, and it calls for Congress to immediately fund all of DHS. Now, we've done that in the House twice now, and these obstructionist Democrats in the Senate need to get this done. This resolution is another small way where we can voice that here in the House, and I co-sponsored it and intend to vote for that this week.
Well, let's end this on a little bit of a positive note, because you mentioned your visit with President Trump yesterday in Memphis, and obviously we've been discussing it here in Nashville, because while governors like J.B. Pritzker want to bury their head in the sand and ignore this problem, pretend it doesn't exist, while mayors like Brandon Johnson want to do the same, there are some states that are taking the lead. Tennessee's one of them. And Memphis is the prescription for success. It is the example of how, if you work collaboratively, now maybe some of the local officials worked a little begrudgingly. I'm talking about the political officials. But the local, state, and federal officials that work together in Memphis, this is working, and it can work all over the country, as you call it, working collaboratively with those three levels of government. We can solve some of these problems that we see in the inner cities.
Absolutely. So when you look at Memphis, a great city, historically, it's a great city, great culture, great history. In 2024, it had the highest rate of violent crime per capita. And the president saw that, and the president is a leader of action. And so he welcomed yesterday the Tennessee National Guard, Memphis Police Department, ICE, CBP, ATF, DEA, Homeland Security Investigations, the U.S. Marshals, Tennessee Highway Patrol, and a whole bunch of law enforcement. The federal, state, and local partners coming together in a way that is unified effort, a unified command, and getting after this problem that has had really, really good results in just 6 months. It's a 22% decrease in aggravated assaults, a 31% decrease in robberies, and the operation's still going on, and we're going to continue to see really good results from this. But that's thanks to the president's leadership on this, his vision for conducting this mission. I mean, that's the type of leader he is, and we've got to do more of this. We've got to support him. We've got to support these efforts so that we get law and order back in our country. That is the foundation for liberty. And I was honored to be there yesterday. Was honored. This is the type of leader he is too. He invited the Tennessee delegation to fly with him on Air Force One yesterday, and we went from Memphis back to D.C. So got to spend some time with him on the plane. That was a really special moment for me. But it shows the kind of leader he is, that he wants to hear from the Tennessee delegation about what is going on, what happened, and what we can do together to solve these problems.
Matt, I know you've flown in a lot of Chinooks. Is this the first opportunity that you had to fly on Air Force One?
First opportunity, first time being on the plane. And, I mean, to end this on a positive note, he's so gracious to invite us on. Before the president got on the plane, he went after the Memphis Safe Task Force. He went and toured Graceland, and then they came on the plane. But while we were on, before he got on, we got to tour the whole plane, got to talk to the pilots, got to talk to the staff on there, and just the hospitality was just absolutely phenomenal. And then as we were taking off, the president came in the small conference room that we were in and sat down and just had a conversation. He invited us into his office before we got off. And one of the coolest things, too, Matt, is that as we were getting, the president normally, the front stairs there, you always see the president going down that. Mm-hmm. That's typically only supposed to be the president. The staff and everybody else goes down the back stairs that you never see. But he said yesterday, I want you all to follow me down. We don't do this, but I want you all to do it to show, this support. And so we were able to go down the front stairs of the president off of Air Force One. Just a really special moment and a special leader. And I'm so grateful for that, and grateful for this opportunity to serve. And just so thankful for everybody in the Tennessee 7th for putting me here in this level of responsibility that is not lost.
Well, there's a lot of ways that I could go with this as we lighten the load a little bit. I mean, I could talk about you not going to Graceland. That's okay. I mean, but I could ask you if you while you were walking down those high stairs, did you pause on the step that Joe Biden almost lost his life on? You remember that
I remember.
There's the commemorative Joe Biden step there.
That's right. That's right. I think it might even be engraved on there. I'm not sure, but I think I got down those pretty good, and it was, Marine One was right next to us when we landed at Andrews. So seeing that the media was out there, seeing that whole process of the president moving over and getting in Marine One and taking off. I mean, it was amazing. It makes you proud to be an American. It makes me confident in his leadership and what's happening and these really hard problems that we will continue to get after.
Congressman Van Epps, thank you for being with us. Thank you for taking the lead, and thank you for making sure that, as best you can, that everyone in America knows the name Sheridan Gorman. I do not want her to have lost her life in vain, and hopefully this can initiate action in bluer states, as it has already. We've already seen action in states like the state of Tennessee. Thank you so much for your time today.
Absolutely, Matt. Thank you. Thanks for having me on. Thanks for what you do.
Yes, there's Congressman Matt Van Epps joining us for a few moments. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN.